Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Devin Bewley with Legacy Properties PM, residential property management firm here in Denver, Colorado. And today I'm here to talk to you about fair housing and what that means to you in regards to your tenants and your rental property. There are a number of fair housing laws, not only federal, state, local ones as well. You have to be cognizant of all of them so that you don't overstep your bounds, say the wrong word, put the wrong thing in your advertisement, because there are groups out there that actually are paid to find those issues. And it can be the spoken word just as easily. If they want to, they can send a couple out to see your rental property and ask you questions. And then they can send a single person or another couple that has some difference and ask you the same questions. And if they're answered differently, they could claim that that's a violation. And you have to go to court to fight it. If you're writing in your ad, great place to raise children, you'd be looking at a $14,000 fine. That gets pricey really, really quick. So in your advertisements, we don't recommend you say anything like that. You can list what schools are around. You can say that there's parks and recreation areas and bike trails around, not playgrounds. There's a difference. You don't want to look like you are trying to attract only families, or trying to attract only single people, or anything else that you're specifically trying to attract. Unless you're in an age-controlled community, that's the only time you can state something of that nature. If you're in a retirement community where it is age-controlled, then you can say over 55 or over 65 or whatever the parameters are for that housing area. But you need to be really careful in what you say and how you say it. Another big area for people is pets. You as the landlord have every right to say you don't want pets, or you only want cats, or you only want small dogs or medium dogs or large dogs or horses only or whatever it is. That's your right. Now if a person comes to you and they have either a service animal or a support animal, then those rights go out the window. You don't get to choose yes or no based on that. You don't get to put in a pet deposit or a pet rent, because those animals are no longer considered a pet. So you can't discriminate against having them. You can't charge extra for having them. Because of the Americans with Disabilities Act, that's a protection that's out there so that those people can have the animals that they need. Along with that, in the Disabilities Act, if a tenant needs to make a reasonable modification to the property, they are allowed to do so. You do not have to pay for it, but they are allowed to do so. They have to provide you what they want and why it's reasonable. If they're in a wheelchair and your front door, you have to go up steps to get to, it is reasonable that they have to put in a ramp. You can't deny it. You can't ding them for having it. But they have to pay for it. They have to remove it and restore the property to its prior condition. That's on them. And they know that. But you have to know that you have to allow it as well. The other area in with that, in with the repairs and all of the other things, is the habitability of the home. If the home is not inhabitable, if it completely flooded, or the roof caved in, it's up to you to get it put back to a condition of habitability. Maybe it's just that there's mold in the house and not any structural damage. You, as the landlord, have to mitigate this. Get it dealt with. If you don't, in a reasonable amount of time, and the courts will decide what's reasonable, then the tenants can file a warranty of habitability claim. And the courts will decide what happens with the rent and whether they have to keep it with the lease and whatever else, however else they want to look at that. But it's up to you to get it taken care of as quickly as possible. The way we always look at it is with any repairs. Would we want to live with that in our house? Would we want our family members, our favorite aunt, our grandmother, our grandparent, whatever, our children, when they have to go and rent a place, would we want them to live like that? If the answer is no, then we highly recommend making a change. But as far as habitability goes, if the house is not, or the property is not something that can be lived in, legally you have to mitigate that. And you may have to put the tenants up somewhere else. You may have to let them out of the lease. All depends on what the conditions are. If you'd like to know more about this or have further discussions, please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. Our number is 720-989-1996, or you can visit us on the web, www.legacyproperties-pm.com. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.